In this universe, the story wasn't written with the heartbeat of a teenage girl, but with the cold decisions of eternal power. Bella Swan was not turned by Edward Cullen. She wasn't held in the arms of immortal love, nor protected by the golden shield of family. She was found by the Volturi. That day in Volterra, when she ran through the crowd to save Edward, the scene changed. Edward didn't make it out. The sun did touch him, just for an instant. Not enough to burn him, but enough for the guard to see it as a sign of vulnerability. He was subdued, humiliated, and ultimately condemned to darkness. Arrow watched everything in silence. Then he turned to Bella. "You are extraordinary, Isabella," he said, almost reverently. "You've defied death, love, and fate itself." Instead of executing her as the laws demanded, Arrow turned her, personally. Her mental immunity flourished in her immortal body like a pure gem. No vampire could touch her mind. No mental ability could break through. In the halls of Volterra, among eternal shadows, Bella became more than a newborn. She became a promise. Decades passed. Bella grew, not in age, but in presence. Her gaze became severe, her stride commanding. She no longer remembered human fragility. Charlie's face blurred like a warm dream at waking. And Edward was a wound crusted in frost. Aro took her under his wing like a daughter, presented her to the court as his protégé. But everyone knew the truth. Bella was the chosen successor. Caius feared her. Marcus ignored her, but the guards adored her. Renata, Felix, Dimitri all pledged loyalty without her asking. Jane feared her. Alec watched her with silent respect. And Bella accepted it. She accepted power because, in the end, it was all she had left. Until many years later, a routine mission took her north. A clan dispute in Canada. Neutral territory, or so they thought. That's where she saw them again. The Cullens. Alice knew the moment Bella stepped into the region. The vision was blurred, incomplete, as it always was with Bella, but enough to warn everyone. She's coming here. Bella. The name dropped like thunder. Edward didn't speak. His face, unmoving, looked carved from marble. Rosalie pressed her lips. Esme clutched her chest. Jasper prepared for the worst. When Bella arrived, she wasn't alone. Felix came with her. So did Renata, still her loyal shadow. She wore dark clothes, her hair braided with red threads, the mark of her rank. She was no longer Bella Swan. She was the ruler in shadow. But Edward didn't see a queen. He saw the girl who once trembled in the rain in the school parking lot, the young woman who danced clumsily at prom, the one who was willing to die for him in Volterra. "Hello, Edward," Bella said, her voice like torn silk. "Hello, Bella," he replied, breathless. No hugs, no shouting, no blame, just tension thick enough to freeze the air. "You've changed," said Esme gently, stepping forward. Bella barely smiled. "We all change, I just did it longer." Days passed. Bella didn't attack, didn't enforce laws. She said she came only to observe. But Edward knew it was more. She was testing them, remembering. Alice took her to the meadow. Carlisle offered her tea she couldn't drink. Emmett tried to joke. Rosalie barely looked at her. But amid it all, Bella felt something unexpected. Nostalgia. Pain. Emptiness. One night, staring at the starry sky in silence, Edward sat beside her. "Are you happy?" he asked bluntly. Bella didn't answer right away. "I'm powerful." "That's not the same." "No, it's not." The silence between them filled with memories of what never was. Then Aro called to her, not with words, but with a vision. The Volturi knew where she was, and they sent a clear message. It's time to choose. Remain our queen, or become a traitor. And with her eyes fixed on Edward, Bella knew she could no longer escape the hardest decision of her existence. Bella hadn't feared anything since she was turned. Not sunlight, not death, not even the judgment of the immortals. But now, sitting in front of the old Cullen house, watching the wind play with the leaves of the forest, something like fear crept back under her marble skin. Not because of what she had to do, but because of what she felt while staring at that lost home. That night, in the room dimly lit by Esme's lamp, Carlisle spoke gently. "You can't ignore it, Bella. Aro doesn't make empty threats." "I know," she replied, her face calm, but her eyes stormy. "What he doesn't know is that neither do I." Edward watched her from the other side of the room. He didn't dare touch her. He wasn't sure if he still could. She wasn't the girl he had saved in biology class, nor the young human with whom he had shared a brief, burning life. She was a queen. But she was still Bella. And Bella was in pain. "You don't have to choose them," he finally murmured. Not if it means losing yourself again. She turned to face him. In her eyes shone centuries of power and something more fragile, something only Edward knew. "And if I leave them?" she asked quietly. "If I give it all up, what's left of me?" Rosalie stepped in from the doorway, arms crossed. "What's left is whatever you choose to build. Stop acting like you're a piece in Aro's game. You're not." Jasper nodded silently. Alice, seated on the floor, closed her eyes as if searching for a future she still couldn't see clearly. But then the message came. A young vampire, pale and trembling, appeared in the clearing behind the house, with one sentence burned into his forearm. "Last chance. Return to Volterra, or we will come for you and for them." Bella read it in silence. Her hands didn't tremble, but inside her a storm erupted. "If I stay," she said, looking at them all, "Aro will send the guard. Not just for me, for all of you." "And if you leave," Edward said, "you'll lose everything. Again." Bella went upstairs to Edward's room. That place still smelled of books and old wood. She sat on the bed that had once been her refuge, and for the first time in decades, she cried. Not human tears, but crystalline drops that fell like shattered diamonds. The next day, she was gone. No goodbyes, no words, only a subtle trail in the woods, a wilted flower on the porch, and the feeling that the wind had changed. But the Cullens didn't give up. Edward, accompanied by Alice and Jasper, tracked Bella's path for days. Not with abilities, but with intuition, with love. And they found her, alone, standing before the castle of Volterra. Renata and Felix were at her side, but their faces showed doubt. Bella hadn't entered yet. Aro awaited on the throne, but Bella turned to her companions. "Thank you for being with me, but I'm no longer his queen. If you enter, you won't leave," Renata warned, almost pleading. "If I don't, maybe we all get a second chance." Then Bella did the unthinkable. She turned her back on the castle and walked toward Edward. The thunder that followed didn't come from the sky, but from the broken heart of an empire. Earl roared. Jane screamed. But Bella, fearless, stood before them. And for the first time, she raised her shield not as protection, but as a weapon. The guard's mental powers went silent. Jane fell to her knees, powerless. Alec collapsed, unsure how to fight without his mist. Bella surrounded them with a perfect field, an absolute shield that silenced all threats, and Edward, without hesitation, stood beside her. "If you want a war, Aro," Bella said firmly, "you'll have to fight it without your weapons." Aro stared at her. His red eyes trembled. He knew he had lost. Not just Bella, he had lost the future. He let her go. They returned to Forks, not as fugitives, as a family. Bella didn't want a throne or a title. She only asked for one thing: time. Time to remember how to love without fear, how to laugh without calculation, how to sleep without dreams of power. In the meadow, among the ferns, where Edward had once touched her heart for the first time, Bella spoke. "Do you think I can be just Bella again?" Edward cupped her face with infinite tenderness. "You never stopped being her." And when they kissed, for the first time in years, the world didn't tremble. It simply paused.